The following is a fan-based discussion. All properties discussed are property of Toei Inc., Bandai, Hasbro, and Subaru Productions. Hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Tokutalk.
You're probably wondering, where's G-Bomb? Next week, because holiday things screwed up.
Yeah.
Timing and watching of shows. So that is going to be next week, and that'll end up being our last thing until we come back in January. I believe Ultraman Blazer will be done by that time, so we can go ahead and review that.
And if not, we will be reviewing Kamen Rider Super 1.
Yes.
So look forward to that. But in the meantime, before we finish off for the year, let us do a little bit of another retrospective, continuing with our look back at the Reiwa era so far, but this time we're looking at Ultraman.
Yes, we can't do one for Garo because it didn't really happen during Garo's time. The only thing we really had during this time was VR in the movie. And the next thing will actually be coming out in January with more of Ryuga's story. Rion's not in it.
Oh, dang it.
But they did take a picture together. So, at least there's that. But yeah, Ultra Reiwa. This has been a time.
This has, I think Ultraman has had it the worst so far.
I would agree.
Because Kamen Rider, for as disappointing as Kamen Rider has been, at least we got Geats.
Yeah.
And Geats was incredible. The best thing we've got from Ultraman is Shin Ultraman.
I would say Blazer as well. I haven't finished.
Because I haven't finished Blazer, so I'm not going to mention that one.
Yeah. Blazer ends up having a benefit of being Blazer.
From what I've seen of Blazer, I did really like.
Yeah.
But, wow.
It's been a rough ride.
I was listening to our reviews yesterday and just like replaying what I could remember from the shows in my head, and yeah, this is the worst so far.
It's rough. It's real rough. At least in our opinion. It's just rough.
Mm-hmm.
Starting off with, we got Taiga. All of the things that were interesting for this show happened in the voice dramas. Nothing really interesting happened in the show proper.
The show proper was, we said in our review, the show just felt very Victim of the Week heavy.
Yeah.
Which for Ultraman is kind of weird.
Yeah.
At least focusing on like a human Victim of the Week, because normally it's Monster of the Week. And then this time around, because I like the idea of having 3 different Ultras with one host.
Yeah.
Because I don't think we'd seen that before.
Yeah.
And that was a cool idea. Ultraman Titus we both really liked.
Oh, Titus
was really good.
The boy!
Great suit, great, physical presence. The way he used like bodybuilding and posing in his fighting style was pretty cool. Nothing we'd seen before. Taiga himself was just kind of like, yeah, like he's okay. And then you had Fuma was the one who was just like there. Everything about him was in the voice dramas, and we brought this up a lot in the review.
His voice drama was the most interesting. And then we got nothing from him. I believe he also transformed into him the least in the show proper.
Yeah, if you have to do homework or rely on extraneous media to tell your story, then you failed.
Yeah, Taiga as a show just was bland and not interesting enough to watch. As we said in the thing,
we say multiple times in the review, like, well, it's okay. I mean, it's okay. Like, we say that a lot. I say that a lot in the review, but I'm like, listening to this, no, I think we both really didn't like this one.
No, we like the voice dramas. At least I did,
because you listened to them. I didn't.
But the show, no, thank you. After that though, at least we got Zet.
Which I will say is the best one so far, but yes. I mentioned this in the review, at least for me, because you liked this one a lot more than I did.
Yeah.
To me, this one felt like a far less good version of X.
I could see that.
Yeah.
I think the thing that really endeared me to this was, one, that theme song is peak.
The theme song is very good.
And the main, person who ends up transforming into the Ultra, he had a very compelling story. Especially the whole thing as, the time travel went along and he met his dad and his dad knew it was him from the future. That was probably one of my favorite moments, just like any Ultra for the past several years. Until I ended up catching up with Blazer. But yeah, it was just really good, at least for me. I really enjoyed Zed. I really enjoyed his relationship with Zero. Also, just during this time in general for all of Ultra, The cinematography has been on point.
Yes, I mentioned this as well because Taiga, we talked about in our review, the action was pretty underwhelming. Everything onwards, they do some really amazing stuff with camera work.
Yeah.
What they do during the fight scenes, during just like grand senses of scale, the way they will shift to a grounds perspective to get you a sense of how big Ultraman and the kaiju really are. And some of the fight choreography, I believe it was this one I was talking about where he has a wrestling form. One of his forms is like wrestling based in terms of its fighting style. And and just the choreography that they did with it was just so good. And that was amazing. So yeah, Decker, the thing that really...
Not Decker.
Zet, sorry. The thing that really stuck out to me about Zet, but also Reiwa, and even getting back to the Heisei as well, how much Ultraman is in desperate need of, like, moving on from the past.
We got it.
Because
we talked
with Blazer, we talked about it. I definitely noticed this for what I saw in the first impressions. But for what we are talking about so far, my goodness. Because saying like, oh, it's just the same thing over and over again. Well, it's like, well, that's kind of what Toku is. Toku is kind of iterative of, we have, in Sentai, we have a team, we have an evil organization, they fight each other, monsters, explosions.
Unless your name is Dawn Brothers.
Unless your name is Dawn Brothers. Kamen Rider, more or less the same thing. Garo, we have Garo, and we have the horrors, and ere the twain shall meet. And then we have this. It's the way that Ultraman seems to constantly reference itself, the way it never seems to make new things. There is a distinct lack of effort to innovate in terms of anything story or character-wise. And I think that, and Zet I was pretty bitter about this in the review, the fact that it's like, come on, you have so much good stuff building around this. Why are we just going back to all the things that we've done before?
I love LA King. I don't need to see LA King again.
Yeah, pretty much. But,
or at least, if you're going to bring back something from like Ultra Q that we haven't seen in forever. That is basically just out of the public consciousness at that point. So it's just like, oh, this feels good.
It certainly was when we reviewed Neo Ultra Q.
Oh, yeah. I'm talking about the original Ultra
I know, but we will review that eventually.
But yeah, Zet as a whole is just like, I think it was it was until Blazer, it was probably the best. And then, speaking of doing the same thing again, we're going to do the same thing again, but worse. Twice. In a row. And we didn't even like Dinah that much.
Trigger. This one's awful.
This is awful.
This one is awful.
When the writers and like some of the staff hate this show, and they publicly stated that they don't like it, and they showed it in Decker that they don't like this show, that's saying something. Trigger is awful. It's the Tiga movie, but no. There's nothing good about this.
I feel like this is where it really started to crystallize, at least for me, how much you dislike this kind of protagonist.
Yeah.
Because I know there's a certain kind of protagonist you hate, the like really upbeat, happy shonen guy, and I'm so great, and everyone loves me, and I'm going to be friends with everybody. Smile, smile, and that's this guy, and yeah, it's something, because I remember you saying prior to our Gachard first impressions, you were talking about Gachard, and you're like, I'm gonna need him to suffer. And that does not happen in this show. There isn't a lot of suffering except on our part, because
it looks like that might happen to Gachard soon too, so I'm excited for the suffering.
My biggest takeaway from this show was that it should have been called Ultraman Ignis, and he should have been the main character.
Yes.
Ignis played, I'm freezing on the actor's name, but the actor who played Bosco in Gokaiger, who is fantastic in this show as well. He's really great. This was the chance. They had like all the ingredients there to make the anti-hero Ultraman show.
They basically could have made Orc but anti. And I think that would have worked.
Yeah.
Except the SSP still exists in some way. God. But yeah, this should have been Ignis' show. That would have been the most interesting thing to come out of this show. He was the most interesting thing to come out of this show. Everybody else sucked.
Well said. I think we should move on.
This show was bad. Yeah. Moving on to Decker.
An improvement.
But I think the biggest issue with Decker is the fact that, and I think this is sort of reflected because I really didn't see anybody talk about the show.
I think there's a reason for that. It's pretty bland.
Yeah, it's more interesting, yes. But
I wouldn't say more interesting. I'd just say better.
Yeah.
Just overall, it's just better.
I think the biggest thing was the fact that the main character was a bit more... Oh, we actually want to follow him a little bit more than Smile Man. But even still, Smile Man reappeared in this. And basically just... Let's save Carmiara.
Let's save the main villain from the last show, despite her not earning any kind of redemption whatsoever or sympathy whatsoever, because she's a very bad person. And no, here we are. We're gonna help her anyway because Ultraman's a good guy.
Ultraman Decker.
Yeah, you said it.
These two shows, especially going back to back, it's just like, oh, we really don't have any goddamn idea what we want to do right now. We're just going to do the same thing again.
Like I said, they just keep iterating on themselves. They keep going back. There's no effort to innovate at all.
And it was just like, I don't remember anything about Deckard.
Yeah.
Like, and outside of Carmiara being brought back because I hated it so much, I don't remember anything about Deckard. And I think that's sort of a good thing because Blazer has legitimately come in and said, no, we're going to have something interesting.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have hot people.
That helps. It's not the be-all, end-all. But it helps, I suppose. Everyone's hot. Who are we kidding?
I've watched up to episode 7, so I'm sort of waiting until it ends to just watch the whole thing.
Yeah.
But Blazer, those first 7 episodes are just like, yes, this is what I need. This is what I want. This is what I want to see. I don't want, like, the constant callbacks. They don't do that in Blazer. Blazer doesn't even have a personality of his own. He's caveman. Cave Ultra.
Mm-hmm.
And I really appreciate that because we end up spending so much time with the actual cast and crew that are, really integral to this. And they feel more like people than the past couple of iterations. I remember there was that one girl who was, like, super sciencey. But then, like, once she got into the pilot, she was like, ah! And I remember hating her from Trigger.
Mm-hmm.
Decker, they were there. But Blazer is just like, this is the moment.
From what I have seen, they feel like real people.
Yeah.
They feel like real people. The way they like poke fun at each other, the way they aren't the way they are imperfect, and they screw up. Like I think it's the first episode maybe, where he's putting the team together.
Yeah.
And he goes to that the one guy that he's recruiting, who's like very formal, very like formal soldier type guy. And he's like, yes, sir. It's like, you can relax a little. He's like, yes, sir, I will relax. And then they're trying to get him to sign some paperwork, and he's looking for a pen, and a little bit of business where they're trying to get a pen, and they're just like calling around. That's pretty funny.
It reminds me a lot of Mebius, like that team.
Yeah.
And that's a great thing.
In the sense that the Mebius team felt like fully realized human beings that we were spending time with.
And Mebius is just good.
It's a great show.
Yeah, it's very good. But yeah, Blazer is just like, it's been a good ride.
I look forward to watching the rest of it.
And then, we have the movie of Shin Ultraman.
Shin Ultraman, which I think bears repeating because I think it's the best thing Ultraman has done so far, Reiwa-wise.
I agree.
And we reviewed that earlier this year. I got to see it on the big screen, which was great. And
Ultra Spin.
And the movie was good.
Yeah.
It's a good movie.
Yeah. I liked it more than the Rider one.
Yeah. Not much else to say there.
True story. But yeah, Shin Ultraman was just a really good time. And, having been directed by who it was directed by, and being outside of the continuity of itself, I think really helped. It's sort of the same thing that they've done with Blazer, where it's just like, we're not really going to connect this. And I think that's made it better. But yeah, Reiwa Ultra.
So moving forward, something you would like to see Ultra do more of. Well, Blazer notwithstanding.
I'm about to say, because Blazer does have a movie coming out. Just connect it slightly Like I want to say no connection, but I know that's probably not going to happen. But just like connected just a little bit, and use more new monsters. I think that's one of the things that Blazer just really had going for it, where it was just, hey, new monster every week for the most part, and it's gonna be crazy. Enjoy.
I would say enough of the alternate universe stuff, because the thing, when you talk about connection, I would like to see it more connected in the sense that, yes, everything exists within one continuity of itself, because I am so tired of it being a multiverse thing, where it's like, here we're on another Earth where Ultraman has never been, but we still want to have all the callbacks to older Ultraman shows.
That's the different part, because I sort of agree with that halfway. Blazer is apparently in its own universe, so they haven't heard of Ultra.
Yeah.
But they've done it so they don't have constant same monster every time.
You also have a better script built around everything.
This is fair.
And yeah, but it's like, because we still want to bring in, Ultraman, like older Ultras. We want to bring them in. We want to bring, what's his name? The guy, Zero. Yeah, we want to bring Zero in somehow. We want to do all these callbacks, have a bunch of cameos, use old monsters because it's all we have.
Unless your name is G, we don't want to see it. Unless your name is G, we don't want to see it.
Or X, or Mebius, or
I know, I'm just saying.
One of the good ones.
Or even Zet. I'll give Zet that because, Zero was his master.
Yeah.
Yeah, sensei.
But, yeah. Don't try and have your cake and eat it too in that sense. Of we want to keep everything separate, but we also want to have all these cameos. And
make a new cake.
Make a new cake. There you go.
Angel food cake. I like angel food cake. Red Velvet.
Red Velvet's delicious, yeah.
New album just came out. Chill Kill. Talk about a K-pop group.
Okay. I was like, I'm pretty sure that's a K-pop group I don't know.
It is. But yeah, it's been a ride, but at least like it seems that we're on the uptick ever since Shin Ultraman and Blazer came out. So hopefully that continues into whatever is coming out next year.
Yes, indeed.
But yeah, let us know what you think about Reiwa Ultra so far.
Please
Don't forget to join us on all the things, and we will see you next time.
We will see you next year.
Yes, next year. Actually, this is coming up tomorrow. So, Jiban will be our last thing for the year.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So we'll see you next week.
Last Tokutalk for the year, but next week, yes.
Yes. All right. Bye, everybody.
Thank you for watching.